Ted Cruz, along with 10 other senators, are coming in and taking a stand for election integrity, as they are now saying that they are going to object to the Electoral College votes on January 6th unless there's an emergency 10-day audit of the election results. This is a huge deal. This is a huge deal because in my eyes, guys, this solidifies that there is a full-blown war in the GOP right now against Mitch McConnell. It is the populist right, led by President Trump, and the establishment Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell. And guys, Mitch McConnell this week has shown you guys that he does not give a damn about what President Trump says. There's no other way that I can frame that for you, okay? President Trump last week came out with a list of demands, right, in terms of what the Republicans need to do this week in Congress. Mitch McConnell went out of his way to make sure that not one of those demands from the president were met by the Republican. That is actions, guys. And if those actions don't tell you where Mitch McConnell is at in terms of his respect for the president at this point, I don't know what else will. And that's the clearest way I can outline it to you. There is a full-blown war between Mitch McConnell and President Trump, and the GOP politicians are picking a side because they are being forced to. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share. A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. So there are multiple GOP senators that are opposing certifying the election results. According to Axios, a growing number of Republican senators led by Ted Cruz announced today they will object to certifying state electoral college votes on Wednesday and call for resurrecting an election commission to conduct an emergency audit on the results. Why matter? Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell had hoped to avoid the spectacle of his party leading a last-ditch effort to prevent Joe Biden from being declared the 2020 election winner, but Josh Hawley of Missouri said he would raise a general objection, and now other Republican senators plan to air more specific grievances. All right, guys, so remember, guys, in one of my last videos about Mitch McConnell, and I know I've done a lot of videos about Mitch McConnell, but right now, guys, Mitch McConnell is the center of politics right now. Everything between him and Trump is what's going down right now. But Mitch McConnell tried to G-check Josh Hawley in regards to why he was coming out and objecting to the Electoral College votes on January 6th. Not only just Mitch McConnell, but also the high-ranking Senate Republicans, Pat Toomey and John Thune, also have come out against this as well. It is very clear that the high-ranking Senate Republicans want to go about business as usual, and they do not want to cause any problems on January 6th. And Mitch McConnell made that clear, again, a couple weeks ago when he first acknowledged Joe Biden as the alleged winner. And then, after that, there was reports that came out in which he was telling his colleagues not to object to the Electoral College votes come January 6th. He said, don't do it. It's going to force a terrible vote on us. And what he meant by that is that it's going to force the Republican Party to either align with him, the establishment, or align with Trump, right? It is going to cause a full-blown war. And he's right about that. It is, because there's obviously a group of people who want to go about business as usual, aka McConnell, John Thune, Pat Toomey. And then you have President Trump, who's obviously, wants to take the GOP in the country in a more different direction, a more populist direction. That's basically what's going on right now. And these two factions are competing for power, right? And this is something I think is going to continue regardless of what happens with the election results. This is going to continue as more and more senators start to align with the president and against McConnell. This is going to be a permanent change, in my opinion. Now, Cruz, who like Hawley, is thought to be considered a 2024 presidential bid, released a statement this afternoon announcing his plans shortly after Axios first reported about them. Several other GOP senators are now expected to follow in a coordinated effort they consider distinct from Hawley's. Republicans involved include Senator Ron Johnson, James Lankford, Steve Daines, John Kennedy, Marsha Blackburn, and Mike Braun, as well as Senator-elect Cynthia Lummis, Roger Marshall, Bill Hagerty, and Tommy Tuberville. Now remember, guys, the Republicans were trying to G-check Tommy Tuberville not too long ago because he was on the fence about it. So they were trying to make sure you don't come out and do it until Josh Hawley basically came out and said, F all you guys. I'm going to do it. I don't give a damn. So it looks like Tommy Tuberville decided to go along with Ted Cruz and company. Now, Congress should immediately appoint an Electoral Commission with full investigatory and fact-finding authority to conduct an emergency 10-day audit of the election returns in the disputed states. Once completed, individual states would evaluate the commission's findings and would convene a special legislative session to certify a change in their vote if needed, the senators said in a joint statement. The group noted a similar commission made of 5 representatives, 5 senators, and 5 Supreme Court justices review allegations of fraud in the 1876 election. Quote, accordingly, we intend to vote on January 6 to reject the electors from disputed states as not regularly given and lawfully certified, the statutory requisite, unless and until that emergency 10-day audit is completed. And guys, let's take a look at President Trump's recent tweets. And which we already know what he said in the past, but this is some of the things he said in the recent days, right? You know, after they voted to overturn the NDAA, President Trump had tweeted, I hope to see the great governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, run against Rhino Senator John Thune. Again, this is a high-ranking Republican. In the upcoming 2022 primary, she would do a fantastic job in the U.S. Senate, but if not Kristi, others are already lining up. South Dakota wants strong leadership. Now, so again, guys, clearly from President Trump, just straight up calling for a high-ranking Republican to be primaried, right, in 2022. And this is on top of asking for Braun to also resign as well, right, for what happened in Georgia. He also blasted the Republican Senate leadership by saying that our Republican Senate just missed the opportunity to get rid of Section 230, which gives unlimited power to big tech companies. Pathetic. Now they want to give people ravaged by China virus $600 rather than the $2,000, which they so desperately need. Not fair or smart. I agree, right? It's definitely not smart, in my opinion. But again, guys, these are just some of the things that President Trump is saying that is supporting my argument, in which, you know, there's clearly a divide going on here that is pretty deep, in my opinion. All right, guys, so I think that's enough background on that. Now, going back to this war versus President Trump and Mitch McConnell and how Ted Cruz doing this plays into it. Obviously, what it shows is that there are a group of senators in the GOP, right, that not only align with the president, but they also want to take the country in a different direction, right? And they see this as an opportunity to kind of branch off from the establishment wing of the Republican Party and to clearly align behind the populist portion of the party in order to kind of, again, take control. Because President Trump just can't do it by himself. He has to have certain elected officials behind him doing it. And I'm actually quite surprised that Lindsey Graham is not on the list, considering that, you know, he's kind of been behind President Trump in terms of his $2,000 stimulus check demand and repeal Section 230. But regardless, as you can see, this is a significant amount, right? So keep in mind, guys, there's a total of 100 senators. So the Republicans right now have, 50? So 10 coming out as of right now and aligning behind the president in this way is significant. That's at least a fifth of the GOP. So that's a significant amount of senators in the Senate. Now, who knows? The House of Representatives, there also could be a ton of representatives also aligned behind Trump. Matter of fact, we know that it is because they have estimated that hundreds of GOP representatives are going to also object to the election results. So President Trump is building out a very solid coalition of GOP politicians that are going to align behind him. Now, some people are saying that, they're doing this as a way to promote themselves and to try to run for president in 2024. I'm not going to say that's untrue. Obviously, politicians are opportunists. They're trying to take advantage of certain moments in order to, boost their appeal with their constituents. However, at the same time, you got to understand that if your constituents are calling you, telling you that they're worried about this election, that they're worried about the legitimacy of the results, it is your job as a representative of the people to investigate and to do what you can to make sure that these voter irregularities and these concerns are addressed. So I don't blame any of the politicians for doing this. As a matter of fact, I've said before, when it comes to Mitch McConnell and trying to keep the GOP together, that I don't see the downside of all of them coming out and objecting on January 6th. And the reason why is because that would make the party seem like it's still all together. It wouldn't be obviously fractured. Like, what's going to happen if the establishment decides not to object and all the other people decide to object? That's going to be a clear line drawn. Everybody's eyes is on January 6th. But if you just come out and you swallow it, and you say, you know what, we'll object, then at that point, you already know that it's going to take the Democrats to get on board, which is probably highly unlikely. Unless something super crazy happens, it's not going to really change the outcome, right? So, again, in my opinion, I just don't see why all of them just don't get on board with this, just from a keeping the party together perspective. Because at this point, historically speaking, the Democrats are more divided than the Republicans. The Republicans are usually all together. We may not all agree on stuff, and we might not all like each other. But when it comes time to get out there and vote, when it comes time to fight against the Democrats, we're all together on that. That's historically how it's been. On the other hand, for Democrats, they have not historically been together. If they don't agree on everything, there's a lot of people that are just not going to vote in their faction of the party. That's just how it is. And that's a lot of times how Republicans win, because we all stick together. However, if the party is headed in a direction where it's going to be fractured in terms of, whether or not we stick together on certain things, that could be a bad thing. That can be a bad thing because it can enable the Democrats to get more things done. So that's why I said that at this point, I don't see why all of them just don't come out and object, especially Mitch McConnell. If you believe that, you got to get Democrats on board and ultimately it's not going to change anything. A lot of people are saying that this is just a ceremonial process. It doesn't really do anything. If that's what you believe, and if you know that, then in terms of the perception among your base, there's no harm in just all of them objecting and just having a debate, having a vote, and then going from there, right? But I will say I could see how this could set a historical precedent that may not necessarily be great for the country, in the sense that if there's a outgoing president that doesn't like the election results, if the Senate and the House are both in that president's party, how they could potentially use both the House and the Senate, because they're aligned with the president from a party standpoint, to overturn the election results. I do understand the historical precedent that this could set moving towards the future, and that may be what Mitch McConnell is thinking about, right? Or he might just be ready for Trump to leave. That could also be an issue as well. Who knows? But in conclusion, guys, this coming out to me signals that there is a full-blown war going on within the GOP, in which there's a certain faction that is aligned with President Trump that has come out against Mitch McConnell and the establishment and are saying we want to take the party in a new direction. So this is kind of big news. This is a big deal in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.